Warm welcome back then to Speed Figures with our look back at the Cheltenham 2020 Festival. We've done day one. Hopefully you managed to catch that on YouTube. We're on to day two now. We're going to start with the first race on the card. That's the Ballymore Novices Hurdle. Now this race at time of recording has thrown up 11 winners. So obviously the form Andy is absolutely rock solid. And Envoy Allen was a very comfortable winner.
He was, yes. He won off one of the shortest price favourites of the whole week, didn't he? A lot of expectation on his shoulders, basically because of that win in the Royal Bond, which was the top-rated figure going into it that we got. So we pretty much knew that he was the one to beat. And as it turned out, he got the job done really well. It looked as though it was a good deep field, with the likes of Easy Work, the Big Breakaway, and several others throwing their cap in the ring. Along with Sporting John, it was a bit of a disappointment. He clocked a good number, hadn't he, the time before at Ascot. He was the only one that really underachieved, if you like, has let the form down subsequently. But Envoy Allen, in winning that Ballymore, impressively as he did, usurped his previous time of, when he won the Grade 1 at Fairyhouse. And he ran the fastest time in the whole week. So we, as a company, were looking for that race to really stack up. Because, if we believe in our numbers, which we do, then you want your very best races to work out throughout the season. Well, Envoy Allen, he couldn't have gone on and endorsed that race anymore. Could he? 3 straight wins over the fences. Hasn't got anywhere near those heady heights yet over the larger obstacles. I think he's only run to a 65 so far, which is a bit of a stark contrast. But we know, and this is what the historic data tells us, we know that he's capable of going to that big championship time figure of 81 when he's stretched in the championship in a championship environment. He's likely to get in the festival chase the Marsh chase this season. But you look through the race. Easy Work, he won his first race over fence. He hasn't been seen since. The Big Breakaways won. Shamblo, of course, he's a Grade 1 winner.
Three wins over fences already for Shamblo. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Longhouse Poet, he finally got off the mark the other day when he won in Fairyhouse. Deco Elandons won a few times subsequently. And Shake 'em Up Harry as well, of course. He's won over hurdles and was a good third beyond Metier in the Tolworth the other day. So that race has really done what our speed figures are designed to do. They pinpoint you in the direction of the horses going into the race, and then once you get the figure afterwards, they tell you that race is really as good as it can be. And luckily, that race has worked out to be the case.
And much same as the conversation with Shishkin, do you see any chinks in the armour of Envoy Allen?
Not really, no. I mean, the only thing that he hasn't done, similar to Shishkin, of course, he's gone round Cheltenham over fences. Yes, they've been round over hurdles, so he's got course form, but it's a different ball game, isn't it, tackling the larger obstacles. I think the one thing that Envoy Allen will have in his favour come festival time is that I think he'll have a small field. It's what I think a lot of connections will probably look to go elsewhere. They'll look to perhaps run their novices in the handicaps, whereas normally they wouldn't, because they don't really want to be taking on Envoy Allen. So he's going to get the luxury of basically just doing his own thing and bossing it. I think he's probably the stronger of the two that we've mentioned, Shishkin and Envoy Allen, because I think there's a bit more competition on. There'll be more emphasis on mistakes and speed and putting pressure on you jumping in the Arkle, because he's got Ewa Gameen and he'll have all Mankind in there, just to name a couple, hassling him for the early pace. Whereas I think that the rhythm of the 2.5 mile race will be a lot more easy for him to ease into the contest. And I just think he'd be the dominant force in that particular race. And basically, Jack Kennedy will be able to do what he wants.
Yeah, it gives you a little bit more time to recover from, say you miss one out. You miss one out in the Arkle, they're gone, aren't they? And it's very difficult to recover that ground. You can ride more of a race in a race like the Marsh, can't you? And just take your time a little bit more. And if they envisage him to be a potential Gold Cup winner as well, that looks the most sensible stepping stone going forward. Right, let's quickly move on to the RSA, if I can cut you short. Obviously not called the RSA this year, but last year it was when Champ won. Are you able to talk about this race now, or has the counselling worked?
Yeah, it's still heartbreaking to go back and watch Manila Indo's sort of hand on the trophy get grabbed away by Champ, who, even when I watch it now, I still can't believe he managed to win. It's like watching the Dancing Brave derby back, isn't it? You still think Dancing Brave's going to get there, but this time Champ did, unfortunately, for us supporters Manila Indo. But again, it was a very fast time. I mean, Manila Indo had gone there similar to Shiskin, not knocking the ball out of the park. And the figures again, he ran to 68 prior to running in the RSA. Champ had run to a 70, so he had just a slight superior advantage on raw numbers. But both of them have got the potential to improve significantly on what they already done. My thinking behind Menelarindo was because he'd won in Albert Barlett, he was going to get the trip. He'd already been proving himself at Cheltenham. And because arguably he was the best horse on the day, but just things didn't quite pan out. He took Aloho on, he got softened up, the pair of them softened each other up, and that mistake at the last accentuated his when he was coming to the end of his tether. And Champ picked up the piece. But the number was very good, similar to the previous year when top of the game won, and the form worked out really well. Champ we haven't seen, but Menelarindo's won twice. Alaho won the other day. Battle Over Doyens won. Irighter was fifth, second in a Charlie Hall. Castlebourne West won the Paddy Power Chase. Easy Game was won twice, and even Pim, who pulled up, has won. He won a conditions race, then he hit Sandown. So once again, similar to the Envoy Allen race, we're saying that pound for pound was one of the best chases of the entire week, and it's worked out accordingly with subsequent events to back that up.
Okay, kicking it forward then to the Gold Cup. If I offered you a free fiver, would you go Champ or Menelarindo?
Well, I'd stick with Menelarindo. Won't say a blind loyalty. That's not how I'd bet, but I think there's a proviso in the sense that Rachel Blackmore will have to try and settle Menelarindo. He's a very exuberant, free-going sort. I think he likes to do things up the front. I don't think you don't want to drop him. They dropped him in the other day in the cells and he fell. Perhaps a lack of concentration, other horses around him just slightly put him off. So that's bearing in mind. So I think Rachel always looked to get him on the shoulder of whatever's leading. But this time, not necessarily try and take on Alaho like she did last year and try and... I think she actually jumped to the front going down the back straight and jumping the water, which obviously was to his detriment. So I think with that burning at the back of her mind, I think 12 months on, she'll look to ride Menelarindo positively, but with a little bit more conservatively, with a little bit more conservative nature, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the trouble was he had to fight, battles on a number of fronts, didn't he, Menelarindo? And, trying to get past Alaho, who's a very exuberant, free running type, took its toll, didn't it, in the last 100 yards, unfortunately, and set it up for the strong stayer like Champ. I mean, where do you see Champ? I mean, we're obviously going to see him at Newbury in a few days' time. He hasn't had a lot of experience this year, obviously. He hasn't got a lot of experience of fences. He sort of dragged his hind legs all the way around Cheltenham, yet still won a length snugly, thanks to a brilliant ride. I mean, where do you take him, going into a Gold Cup?
Well, we'd have to have another look at him when we're at Newbury. I mean, Newbury clearly suits him. The rhythm of those fences, flat track, helps his jumping. Cheltenham around the inside track, the old course has probably got him on his head a little bit. Those mistakes, as you say, crept into his game, and he wasn't able to. Well, he did recover, but it didn't look likely at the time. He's going to be racing over the new course if they get into the Gold Cup on time. So that similar to Newbury, the rhythm of the fences and where they come up, the layout of the track will suit him. Put it this way: if you gave me a bet, Santini or Champ, and said which one's the better of the two, I think Champ has by far and away got the most talent. Santini's very, very slow. He's got a touch of the dumb pole is creeping into his game. But he's one not to forget, based on that number that he clocked in the RSA. And if I fancy Menelarindo, you've got to factor Champ into your thought process.
Okay, that's brilliant, Andy. So that's day 2 of 2020 done and dusted. We'll be back online with day 3 very soon. And don't forget, we're going to do these race previews leading into the Cheltenham Festival as well, with plenty of anti-post bets. So please do try and subscribe to AH Speed Figures on YouTube.